All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Hannah Hanrahan. For the first hangout, Lauren, Julie, Brandon, and myself are discussing the International Society for Technology and Education. We are each discussing different national technology standards. And here's my slides. For teachers, I have the first standard that states facilitate and inspire student learning and creativity. Teachers use their knowledge of subject matter and teaching and learning and technology to facilitate experience that advance student learning, creativity, innovation in both face-to-face and virtual environments. These standards are used to assess teachers to ensure that while they are creating and planning their lesson, they are engaging their students while they are in the classroom. They need to promote innovative thinking while allowing their students to use technology to portray their knowledge in many ways. Teachers need to use issues in their everyday lives to keep their students engaged. By doing so, using technology can reveal students' different forms of learning. Lastly, teachers need to be a good example to their students by being willing to learn alongside their students. And for students, I have the first standard as well, which states creativity and innovation. Students demonstrate creative learning, construct knowledge, and develop innovative products and processes using technology. Teachers need to use these standards to help students express their creative thinking through technology. Students need encouragement to use their prior knowledge to create new ideas and processes. They will use technology to create their new ideas and express their knowledge in a process that best fits their needs. Using their creative thinking will then begin to notice trends and make predictions. Students will be able to use these models to learn more about complex ideas. And the first lesson that I have to demonstrate these standards for teachers is music is poetry. During this lesson, the students will learn about different poetic devices used in writing, or in this case, their favorite songs. They will examine their music to detect which poetic devices are being used, for example, imagery, onomatopoeia, alliteration, metaphors, etc. After finding which poetic devices are being used, they will then determine with the lyrics are being written in this poetic way. If they are not, then the students will rewrite the lyrics into lines of poetry. The students will then determine the meaning of the words in the song. This creative lesson keeps students engaged in poetry by allowing them to pick their own music, school appropriate of course. Music is Poetry is designed for students to work in groups, bounce ideas off each other to fully understand the true meaning of the song they had chosen together. It also allows students to have the creative freedom during the lessons, as well as the assessment. For the assessment, the students will pick a form of multimedia presentation to share and evaluate their song alongside the type of poetic devices they found in the beginning of the lesson. For the second lesson I have chosen for the student standard is called Egg Hatching into Sequencing. For this lesson, the students will research snakes in different types of medias, for example, age-appropriate websites, audiobooks, videos, and many more. The class as a whole will then help everyone build a snake. The class will also be able to, build a snake egg. The class will be able to discuss to make certain that all of the students understand the new information they had learned so far in the lesson. This way, the students can apply existing knowledge to the group discussion. The students will also sequence events into the hatching using pictures that were taken during the lesson by the teacher, and will be able to write sentences about them, putting them in order. The students will each help making the eggs by putting strands of newspaper and glue on a balloon. And then when the egg is dry, the teacher will put a small hole in the egg to put a snake in there so that class can begin hatching the egg together. While waiting for the egg to hatch, the students will make predictions of what they think will happen. They will revisit those predictions at the end of the activity. Each student takes turns hatching the egg while the teacher takes pictures of the entire process. The teacher will then pick 4 pictures that show the process in sequential order. The students will then put those 4 pictures in the correct order. And then after they will write sentences about the hatching process using words like first, second, last, etc. This lesson has so much room for creativity and innovation that keeps all students engaged the entire time. They have opportunity to apply their existing knowledge to make new ideas and make predictions for the outcome of the activity. Having the ability to research information about snakes through different types of ways of technology makes it a better learning experience. Making the egg to explain the process lets the student get a better idea of a more complex and new idea. While they are writing their sentences, students are able to express their viewpoints of the hatching process in their own words. And this is my conclusion. It's important for the teachers not to get carried away with the technology and stray away from the learning. There's so many benefits to the technology for the students, but to keep a specific goal in mind while creating lessons will keep the lessons in mind and not get carried away with all the fun of new technology. And number 2, allow students to use technology to express their ideas in their own learning style. This will keep them engaged and interested and help them say what they need to say in their own way. And then number 3, teachers are a huge impact on students and are the main provider of technology for their students, so they are responsible for promoting student learning and creativity. So just being that role model in the classroom and being a good way of learning is good. Always keep in mind. And these are my references. And you can go ahead, Julie.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Julie Johnson, and this is my slide. So like Hannah said, we all had different slides or different standards. So mine started with Teacher Standards 2, which states that teachers need to design and develop digital-aged learning experiences and assessments. So teachers design, develop, and evaluate authentic learning experiences and assessments incorporating contemporary tools and resources to maximize context level and context and to develop and attitudes identified in the standards. So this standard also incorporates that the teachers need to adapt their students' learning experiences so that they're using digital tools and resources. The teachers should also create technologically rich environments so that the students can explore their own curiosities, enhance their learning, and take charge of their own education, all in a safe setting. So you don't want them going into different websites that are not too good for them. Teachers should also be creating technological activities that will cater towards diverse learners, including the student's ability, learning style, and more. And it also informs that there should be multiple and varied forms of formative and summative assessments that are related to the content standards and technology standards. For the students, I had Standard 2 and Standard 6. For Standard 2, that states that students use digital media and environments to communicate collaboratively, including at a distance, to support individual learning and contribute to the learning of others. So this could be multiple things, whether it's working, researching, and developing things with digital media to communicate projects, be with their peers and with professionals using multiple different forms of media, with their peers, their people, teachers, administration, parents, what they found and learned using the digital media, using different forms of media. The students can also need to gain cultural and worldly awareness by engaging with people of other cultures, and they also need to work in teams to present original information or problem solve. And for Standard 6, understanding of technology concepts, systems, and operations. And that basically means that students understand how to operate the different systems that will be in their classrooms. So that could be smart boards, it could be iPads, laptops, so on and so forth. The students need to know how to use these different type of technologies in the class and how to use them, really. Some of the technology, the teachers may have to inform the students how to use them once or twice before they're finally able to do that on their own. The students have to also be able to select and use many applications on each of the technologies productively and appropriately. A teacher really doesn't want their students going off topic when they're trying to teach a lesson or have their students do a certain activity. Students should also be able to learn new tools, software, applications, and effectively communicate how to use them in the classroom. And lastly, be able to communicate their current knowledge on technology and learn new technologies. For the first lesson is figurative language. And basically, at the beginning of the lessons, the students need to create a PowerPoint that illustrates the two types of figurative language, being alliteration and personification, where they will do either an activity or quiz. The students actually need to be able to create either a PowerPoint, Prezi, Zoho, or a similar slideshow with alliteration or personification. On this, they will illustrate an example of alliteration or personification, including on the pages that they created. They will include a clip art of the alliteration or personification that they came up with. And this plan really fits with the Teacher Standard 2. Students use different technology tools to help students to develop content knowledge, and it also helps students better understand the tools they're using so they can use it again in the future. In addition, this allows for multiple ways of presentation, which is good because some students do better using PowerPoint, while others do better using Prezi or Zoho or other forms. Now on to the second. For Standard 2, they have the Biomes project, and each student will be put into a group, and in that group they will research a different aspect of the biome. For example, one student will research animals, while the other just climate, so on and so forth. Once all the information is then presentation using any medium they desire, whether that be PowerPoint, MapSkip, TeacherTube, or even just using plain old posters. And this activity fits in the Student Standard 2 because it allows the students to interact and collaborate with their peers. It allows them to figure out how each of them found their research and being member with their research. It also allows students to communicate their findings using multiple forms because they'll be using PowerPoint, Prezi, and so on and so forth. This activity also allows students to learn about the different biomes of the world we live in, and the students are able to gain an understanding of why something is there, may not be, like why one animal might be in one biome and one biome. For Standard 6, that is called a Tangram game, and in this the students will find the link to the home page of the website, which the game is located. The students then have to navigate correctly through the website to find a game. Once the students create a shape like an animal, they're using different two-dimensional shapes provided. During this game, the student will have to figure out all the different applications that the game comes with because the two-dimensional shapes are not in the correct placement. This activity fits with Standard 6 because it shows the students are able to correctly to the activity needed. In addition, students have most likely not played this game before, just using their 2D shapes in class. So this prior knowledge helps the students better understand how to actually complete the Tangram game. And in addition, the original link did not work, so I found the actual link to the game. So there that is. conclusion, one thing that teachers have to understand is that when using these standards, it's important that each lesson, or to know that each lesson might not fit with all the standards. Think about what grade level they're teaching, because again, not all the standards will fit that grades. You can't really make in kindergarten or first grade make their own Prezi or anything like that. They'll need help, or even working in groups. Sometimes that can be very difficult. And it's also important for teachers to inform their students for safe practices when going onto online sites. Today, there's so many different ads on different websites that students will want to click, even not be good for them. So teachers need to show students safe practices even before they go on to different websites. And my resources. Okay, Hannah, you.
It's Lauren's turn.
Lauren, you go.
Okay, I'm Lauren Housel, and this is my Prezi. For student standards, I had standards 3 and 4. So standard 3 was research and information fluency. So the students must be able to plan strategies and use a variety of sources and evaluate relativity of the sources, and then analyze the data. So like problem solvings, they have to plan how to solve the problems and then evaluate the sources that they're using to solve the problems. And then number 4 was critical thinking, problem solving, and decision making. So they have to determine the problem that they're given, ask questions to try and solve the problem, and then use data that they find from different sources to find a solution. And they can't limit their approaches, so they have to be able to think of other ways to approach the problem. For standard 3, my lesson plan example was called the rock family. So students will be able to describe characteristics of igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic rocks and provide examples of each, analyze research and explore website options, paraphrase information from an online source and organize it in a table, and complete an online concept or mind map describing characteristics of all 3 types of rocks and examples. So this fits with standard 3 because students have to research using a variety of sources and then determine which site has the most relative information. And then to analyze the data, they are creating a mind map, which is one way for teachers to assess what they learned from this lesson. Then for standard 4, I chose Shop Till You Drop. Students will research grocery items, calculate the best price for the items, and then use coupons to purchase and save money towards the items. And they have to shop using a limited budget. So for this, students will research the grocery items. They're given a limited budget, which is the problem that they're solving for. And to solve the problem, they must come up with a solution that gives them the best price for the grocery items. And they'll demonstrate trial and error when trying to figure out which one is the best solution towards the money problem, which fits in with them not limiting their approaches to the problem. Next are my teacher standards. I had number 3 and 4 for those as well. Number 3 is model digital age work and learning. And that is teachers have to have fluency in current online programs, and they use online programs for collaboration with peers, students, parents, and they're also communicating using the technology. So, like a classroom website would be a way for teachers to communicate directly to parents, and they have to be able to do that. And then they also have to model and facilitate students' use of the programs. So they have to teach them the right way to use the programs that they want them to use. And then number 4 is promote and model digital citizenship and responsibility. So teachers are responsible for modeling safe and legal use of the websites and resources, and teaching digital etiquette. And so this would be like teaching them how to properly type an email and be respectful to the person that they're emailing, or make sure that they're citing their sources correctly. And then also the teacher can use these programs to collaborate with other cultures. So you could do a Google Hangout with a class in another country. And my example for Standard 3 was called 3 Billy Goats Gruff. So the students will create a book and then read the book with their peers and parents. So the activity is that the teacher would read the original book aloud and then also use a variety of other resources to show online versions of the book. And then the class will create their own version of the book on a program called Bookemon. And that is you can do it on an interactive whiteboard. So the students have a say in like what the background of the book, like what the illustrations will be. And this is able to be shared with the parents. So that is like the communication to parents. The parents can see this program and access it at home. Next is the standard number 4. I chose Through the Eyes of a Child, and the students compare life in the 1860s to life in the 2000s. So for the activity, they would research lives of children in the 1860s, and they can use an interactive 2-circle Venn diagram that is available on Teachers First. And they use that to compare the two. And then the students would create a short video that shares their findings, and they can also they could reenact life in the 1860s, and then the teachers would share that on TeacherTube, and that would also be accessible. And through this, the teacher would have to demonstrate how to properly cite your sources. How they need to show the students how to research things, so they need to show them appropriate websites and make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And for my conclusion, there always needs to be a backup plan when using lessons that involve technology. Anything could go wrong. The Wi-Fi could not work or something, and you always have to have another way to do something. So like for the Billy Goats Gruff activity, they were reading the book and then doing an online version. You could just find another version of the book And then students may not know how to use the programs, so the teachers must model how to use them, and that goes with one of the teacher standards, Teacher Standard 3. The teachers have to be fluent in all of the programs so that they can model to their students how to use them. And then they also need to teachers also need to model internet appropriate behavior, so teach their students how to use or how to have good manners on these programs. And these are my references. That's it.
All right, Brandon's turn.